Well, good morning. Today I'm in the sewing room and I am hemming some new pants that I bought for my husband, blue jeans. And I have always hated hemming blue jeans because the fabric is so thick that when you turn it under once, it's thick enough on that seam, but then when you turn it under twice, it's almost impossible to get it under the presser foot without breaking the needle. So I have broken many needles over the years, and the last time I was hemming a pair of pants and broke the needle, it went flying by my eye. So I had gotten to the point where I was hiring someone else to hem my husband's pants and paying them $7 a pair to hem blue jeans. But I've come across this method of hemming blue jeans and keeping the original hem, and so it's so much easier. I'm going to show you how to do that today. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is measure our inseam. Now these pants are going to be hemmed at 26 inches. It's going to have a 26-inch inseam. So you're going to take your measuring tape, and I like these flexible measuring tapes for measuring something like this, because if you try to use a yardstick it would just be too stiff. So you put your measuring tape right up here where the inseam would start, and you measure down 26 inches, and then you pin it. And that's what I've done here. Now you're going to turn it up with right side out, and you're going to pin it the length that you want it. Now this next step is extremely important. This is called a sewing gauge, but you could use any kind of little ruler. You're going to measure from where this original hem starts right here. Don't include the folded hem part. Start measuring right here and measure down to see how much you've turned up. In this case, it's 3.5 inches. So this is extremely important. You're going to divide that 3.5 inches into 2, which would be 1.75 inches. Now you're going to adjust. You're going to take that hem down to where it's now 1.75 inches. And that's extremely important, because if you started hemming at that 3.5 inch measurement, you would make your jeans too short. So now let's measure and see. That is 2 inches, so we need to go down just a little bit more. And that is 1.75. So you're going to pin it there, go all the way around, and measure at 1.75. Now remember, you're measuring from the bottom of this original hem. So we're going to have to go down just a little bit more to 1.75. And that's what this little sliding thing is. If you leave it right at 1.75, then all you have to do is just go around the hem, and if it falls right there at that little slide, then that's the right measurement. So we're going to pin that, making sure all those are at 1.75. Now, it's time to go to the sewing machine. Okay, so we've got our pants turned up at 1.75 inches. I've got it pinned. Now this is important. Pin on the seam so that you know those seams match up, because it's a dead giveaway when your seams don't match up that these pants have been hemmed. So pin at the seams first, and then line up in the middle and maybe put one more pin in the middle, making sure that lines up. Now this one has a good crease right here, so it helps me to line it up better. Alright, so now we're going to change the presser foot. This is the presser foot that I normally use for almost any kind of stitching. But in this case, I'm going to use a zipper foot, because the zipper foot allows the needle to either go on this side or this side. And what it does is it lets the needle go up really snug against that original hem, so that it's the stitches are kind of hidden. So we're going to put this presser foot on, so that when I put this hem underneath the needle, it's going to go right all the way up to it. I'm going to take this accessory box off, and now it's become a free arm, so that I can get the needle all the way up to the edge. See, all the way up to the edge of that original seam. So in fact, I'm going to go ahead and plant the needle right there at the edge, so that I know that's where we're supposed to be sewing. Now, we need to get rid of these pins as we sew, because you don't want to sew over pins. So I've got my machine set on just a regular straight stitch, and I'm going to start sewing just as closely as I can to the bottom of that original seam or hem. Stop and remove your needles. Now make sure that seam lines up. And see, there's very little bulk to go across when we're doing it this way. This is called stitching in the ditch, when you get that close to a seam line. All right. Flip our threads. Okay, so we have sewn that turned up 1.75 inch edge. Now, what happens now is you turn that part, that 1.75 inch up like that to the inside, and look at that. It looks like the original hem on the jeans. Now, what you need to do is press this down really well with a steam iron, and it'll look even better. But what do you do with all this bulk on the inside? Now, first of all, the first thing you need to do is take this over and measure it again when it's turned up like this, like it's going to look when you're wearing it. You measure that and make sure this inseam is still the same length it's supposed to be. So this one is supposed to be 26 inches. I'm going to go measure it and make sure that we've done it right. All right, I've measured our jeans, and they are the right length, the inseam. So now what I'm doing is I've got my iron turned on steam, and I've got it turned up to the cotton setting, and I'm going to press that down. Now this works really well on jeans that have that distressed looking hem. These jeans are brand new, and they're a really dark color, so you can't tell what I'm talking about. But on jeans that have that distressed hem with the gold thread as a trim, this allows you to keep that color thread. And look at that. That looks great. Let's turn it over and press it on the other side a little bit. So that looks wonderful. Now what I'm going to do, if you're hemming pants for kids, and you expect that you might have to take these out again or lengthen them again, I wouldn't even cut this off. I would just leave it turned under there, maybe hand tack it right here so that it doesn't bother them while they're wearing it, but just leave it like that, and you can go back later and let them out even more. But since I know that these are going to be hemmed this length forever, I'm going to go ahead and cut off all of this excess right here, and I'm going to use a tight zigzag and just zigzag the edge of the fabric right there so that it doesn't ravel out. Alright, so I've got our jeans cut off. Now remember, this is the part that was all that was turned up, and I just trimmed it to about 1/4 of an inch. Now this is extremely important. You have to put your regular presser foot back on. If you try to zigzag with this zipper foot, it's going to break your needle because it's going to hit the presser foot. So I've got my regular presser foot back on, and I'm going to go ahead and sink the needle right there. Put the presser foot down, and I've got my machine set on zigzag, which on my machine is number 3. I want a wide zigzag, so I'm going to start out at number 5 and see if that's too wide. If it is, I'll change it. But I want my stitch length to be very short because I want this to be a tight zigzag, so I've got it set on 0.8. Let's see how that works. I need to move it over just a little bit. You want it to just catch that outer edge that you cut, because that's what it's doing, is finishing that edge. See what that does is just finished the edge of that seam so that it doesn't ravel and doesn't come out. Now I'm going to go one more step, and I'm going to turn this under, and I'm just going to hand stitch at several places to make sure that this stays under when he's putting the pants on. You could just run another little stitch of top stitching right there if you wanted to. I don't think it would make any difference. But that is how to hem jeans while keeping the original hem. Now this is really much more important on... Well, I kind of got cut off there, but what I was going to say is it's much more important on a pair of jeans with the distressed edge and the gold top stitching, and it allows you to keep that gold top stitching on there. So I hope you'll try this. I still don't like hemming jeans. I'd rather make a complete garment than hem a pair of pants. But I hope this will be helpful to you, and that you can try it, and I hope it works out as well for you as it did for me. Have a good day.